Back on the Marine Oldsmobile 455 engine build, you can see here I've fitted the windage tray. And a windage tray is actually like free horsepower when you're taking all the oil mist away from the crank. So you always want to try to get one of these. And when I mounted this, I actually had to shim it up 130 thousandths because it was just too close to that rod bolt, and they were touching when I was to rotate the crank. Now I got the crank to spin without touching it. Here I have a Melling high volume oil pump mounted on here. Right there's where the spring goes in it, and I shimmed it out with 3 washers and actually ran this on my old engine, and it was putting out 60 PSI. It's about what I want. I don't want to go too much with that because then you're just wasting horsepower. And of course you have to get a Melling pickup. You can see I fabricated my own fastener piece for it. Got that bolted down. You want to keep the pickup off the bottom of the pan a little bit. You don't want that thing laying on the bottom. Here's my oil pan. This pan used to look like that. Basically what I did is I just bent a piece of metal, welded it on, and then welded a cap piece on there. This funny looking thing here is a different oil drain. The bottom of this pan sits really close to the hull of the boat. And you can take this oil drain plug out, but it just basically pours over the hull. I didn't like that, so I set this up and I was actually draining the oil through the transom. This year I'm probably actually going to get a pump. I'm going to suck it out of here so I can get even more oil out of this pan. Here's the inside of the pan. I was actually running this oil pan on a motor without a windage tray. So I took a plasma cutter, cut some strips in it, reinforced them, and basically hoped that that would help cut down some of the windage. I also put a trap door in it. The point of a trap door is to keep all the oil in the sump area. That way when it let off, it doesn't all go rush into the front. It's just got a straight shot now. You can buy a pan like this, but I think they're like $200 or $300. Basically made this pan for free. Can't beat that price. Had some issues trying to fit the oil pan on here. See, I made a little modification there. The front 2 studs were actually hitting the front, and the curvature of the pan was hitting the windage tray. So since this is a marine pan, I had the luxury of just eliminating that whole section there. And now my assistant will test fit the pan on the engine. And you can see it lays perfectly flat. She was actually up about half an inch before. So word of caution, if you're going to run that windage tray in a car, you're going to have some issues with your pan. Here is my Mondello cryogenically frozen oil pump shaft. Got this and ran this in the old motor. I actually had to cut it down when I got it. Don't know exactly what they got this out of or where they got this. But it worked fine in there, so I'm just going to run it in this motor. My advice to you in that would be to go ahead and get a Milodon oil pump shaft. They seem to have the correct size pieces. And I'm just going to drop this in now. I had to take the retaining clip off because I couldn't put this in from the bottom because the baffle blocked the clip. So I'll simply drop it in from the top and get ready for a prime. And here we've fitted an oil pressure gauge on there. Got our filter on there. She's filled with oil. And we're going to go ahead and prime this up. Here is the oil we're using. This is an actual break-in oil. It's green. Here's my setup. I'm just going to prime it with this here drill. Tape some fittings together, a 5/16 inch end, and then put this in the end of the oil pump shaft. And you'll see the oil pressure rise as I do this. And ultimately what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get oil out of all these push rods. Alright, most of them have oil. They actually all get oil. A couple not as much as the others. What happens is the groove in the lifter isn't lined up with the oil feed hole. So all you gotta do is turn your engine over some on those lifters, get them in a different position, and then continue to prime. So we'll keep an eye on this rocker arm, see what happens. That's all Joel's got. Pretty tough to fit that oil pan. Boats have been in the water already. Be swimming.